Fun fact, fun fact, number 13. Um, Dating again. Um, I'm still on one dating app. I tried another dating app, but it was like really weird. So I got out of it like really quick. And a lot of them is like you get in and it's like, oh, it's free, but no, if you actually want to talk to somebody, you have to pay. I'm like, isn't that like prostitution almost? I don't know. But yeah, dating. I met somebody and I was like almost immediately connected to them on a deeper level, which is unusual for me. And but I kind of took it slow and I was like, okay, let's see where it's going. I met him at dance and we really danced. I felt intimately and really had good energy with each other and it was really good. And he texted me. We talked on the phone a few times, but it was like when we were in, and then like he'd say, let's meet early. We'd hang out afterwards, after everybody was gone. And it was somebody I met in person, which is unusual too. I don't meet people in person um, for dating type of stuff. And it kind of felt like we were kind of dating because before and after an event, we would kind of meet up and talk and have a cup of tea, and we would text each other during the week, like all day long. We'd call each other. Maybe it would the phone calls weren't that readily available, so I was a little concerned. And plus, in the texting, it wasn't following up with how we were in person, and so it was kind of more shallow, banal kind of stuff and stuff like from left field, which I'm like, why did he do that? But our initial talk was like all on the phone all one day. Like we talked all day long. And I really thought we bonded and at dance and everything, we were really seemed like I mean, he would say things like I said, well, you should probably dance with other people because when we talked, he kind of said, hey, I want a wife and I want children. And I'm like, well, I'm not interested in being somebody's wife again. And I can't have children anymore. So I guess I'm not the person for you. But we were still meeting up and still dancing intimately and still doing all that stuff. So I just figured, well, maybe he's okay with that, or maybe he just wants this relationship now to explore it, but because I can't provide these other things, it probably won't be a long-term thing or something. I was like kind of trying to figure it out. And I really felt like he was really unsure about me too. And I would text him things that I was serious about, and he'd do LOLZ. And I was like, why are you like laughing like that about it? It's not, I wasn't trying, it's not to me, I'm trying to ask you a serious question and you're just laughing. And that was in text, but in person it was like different. So I finally got down to it and I said, well, somebody said that I have to be more direct. And I told him like the first day we met that I liked him, but I don't think he remembered that. Like I was interested and I liked him and stuff. And And he said, it was like we were friends, but then we weren't friends, but then we were friends, but then we weren't friends. And then I realized I was his friend, but I don't know if necessarily he was being a friend to me. Because I would say good morning, I would say good night, I would say how's your day going. But I didn't really get that from him. I got pictures of his cat, pictures of what he was working on at work, pictures of the food he made himself for dinner. And I'm like, I'm not sure. But in person, we were like, hey, this energy is good. We have great conversations. They're a little bit deeper. And so I was like, I don't really feel like I'm talking to the same person and I don't really know what's going on. So a friend of mine said, well, you need to be more direct with guys. Women, you have to translate, but guys, you need to be more direct. And I'm like, No, I've been translating for this guy trying to figure out what is going on, and I thought I was being pretty direct, but I'll be more direct, and so I texted him and I said, "Well, I've told you that I like you, but somebody told me I need to be more direct than just telling you that I like you." And I said he wanted me to say something like, I said, "Well, let's make out or take me," or something like that. "Is this true? Do I need to be more direct with guys and with you?" And he didn't really respond. He responded with a video of his cat. And he said, "Well, I really didn't read your message." And I'm like, "Well, what?" And the other thing I said is like, "I really feel like you don't really care about me, like as a friend or as anything else. And I just feel like you don't care." And finally, I said, "Hey, when you have a moment, can you answer those questions instead of just sending me a video of your cat?" And I'd seen him, and I mean, no, I hadn't seen him, and video of a cat, yeah. And finally, he called and he said, "Well, I kind of had a feeling that you liked me." I'm like, "Well, I kind of had a feeling that you liked me too, but you just never said anything, and then you'd get all weird and back and forthy." And I said, "And when we dance, it's really," and he goes, "Do you think that's really like, it was really sexual?" And I said, "It was very intimate, yes." And he said, "Oh, I didn't feel that way." And I'm like, "You don't think how you were touching and how we were very close was something very intimate and can mean something more? And meeting me before and spending more time with me and saying, are you going to make an Irish exit again? And um, I have to keep track of you. I'm going to have to give you a chip so I know where you are, so I don't miss you. Things like that. And I don't lose you. I don't lose you and stuff like that. And I'm like, that makes me sound like I'm important to him and maybe a priority. And I like that. But everything else was like, it was like unsure and lots of different vibes. But when we danced, it was like we were right there and I had that deep connection with him. And not that he was my ideal type, and not even that his worldview was the same as mine. I mean, I really felt like we lived in two different worlds, and a lot of the stuff he said was kind of offensive to me. But I connected on a deeper level, and I thought, well, we can work those things out, maybe. I was wrong, I think, but his response to me was like, "I kind of had a feeling that you liked me. I just been kind of avoiding it, and um, you're. I just have a very specific type, and if you could be the person for me, I would be so lucky if it was you. But I have a very specific type." I said, "Yeah, I know. We talked about your very specific type, but you were being very attentive to me, but not attentive, really. I was being attentive to him, and he was making time for me and making me a priority and making me important with a lot of the stuff that he said and he did." Um, so it was very confusing. And then he was like, well, and I said, "Well, I'm really gonna miss, your cat and some of our conversations, not all of them, but some of them, and dancing with you." I said, "But yeah, we can't be doing this anymore. This is just too confusing for me. It's a little hurtful." And because I had done things to be able to spend time with him too and prioritized him a little bit. I kind of realized that some of his behavior was narcissistic too, but it wasn't as bad as my ex-husband. So I kind of figured, hey, let's see where it goes. Um, everything was pretty much about him, I think. So he really didn't get to know me, but he also tried to judge me and give me advice on things I really don't need advice on or to be judged on. And I told him, I said, you don't know me enough. You don't know me well enough to give me advice or judge me. And actually, you don't know me well enough at all. But I got to know you very well because you made it all about you. So I was kind of like, I was really disappointed and I was hurt. I was hurt. But I knew for myself, I needed to put up boundaries because um, I attached deeply to him and I needed to disconnect and I needed to find a way to disconnect. And so I asked him to, I said, there's a lot of truth, I held my tongue on a lot of things that you were saying because I was hoping that, because I connected to you on a deeper level. So I kind of just overlooked those things and let those things pass. But honestly, we have different worldviews. And some of the stuff you said was really offensive. And basically, yeah, you're not my type, and you're actually sophomoric. I didn't tell him about the narcissistic thing or anything else, but I just kind of said, if I understand if I'm not for you, but you need to stop dancing with me. Don't do me a favor. Please do not dance with me. And he's like, well, can we still be friends? And I said, I don't know if we were ever friends. I was your friend. But I don't know if you were ever really my friend. Like you go, oh, I went to a party and I had a great time. What do I say to that? I'm like, oh, good for you. Oh, I made beef stew. Look at my beef stew. Oh, that looks yummy. It wasn't like, hey, Teresa, I really miss you. Or, hey, Teresa, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you like things like that? It wasn't like he was ever trying to find out about me. It was more about him. And so, and pushing some of his beliefs on me, which wasn't going to happen. So I just told him, stop dancing with me and whatever, and no, we're not friends. And I blocked him right away. But then and I hung up on him because it was like, I said, I don't really have anything else to say. I've said what I have to say. I don't know why we're still talking right now. And he goes, well, I need to take a shower. And I'm like, okay, bye. It doesn't really matter to me anymore. I don't care. Go take your shower. And I hung up. He was like, oh, you hung up abruptly on me. And I tried to call you back and you didn't pick up. And I'm just thinking that if you can think of me as sophomoric and not your type, we could still be friends. And I'm like, why would you want to be friends with somebody who's called you sophomoric? It was like, I was helping him with some things too, and so I just decided, yeah, no, no. And then I went to dance and I had a great dance. And towards the end of the dance, I guess he showed up and he decided he was going to dance with me. And he came over and I didn't know it was him. And I turned around and we danced like this. Like we were dancing like this and we danced like, like this, like, eh. And I didn't give him any of my energy. I decide who I give my energy to, and I wasn't going to give him any more. So I didn't give him anything. And he kept saying, well, if you keep thinking me as sophomoric and not your type, we can still be friends. And I asked him not to dance with me, to not approach me, to not come over and grab me and dance with me. And he did. And before this, he was like, I want to dance with you all the time. And I said, but I thought you're not into me. I mean, this was in the beginning. I thought you said I was just not that person. And he's like, well, I'll dance with other people 50% of the time, and then I'll dance with you 50% of the time. Why are you prioritizing me when you're not looking for me and you don't want me? Why prioritize me? Because I have good energy and you like the energy that I give off. and you just want that, but you don't want to give anything back. And I was just like, this is just really so. And then I went to lunch and he was there and I was trying to avoid him. And then he ended up talking to me for an hour and I was really kind about it. And he came over and said, see, we're friends. And I said, no, I get to decide who I give my energy to. And he was like, well, we were talking and we were having a good time. And I said, because I'm really kind. I'm a really kind person. And then that night he texted me and said, hey, I went to this party. I had a great time. And I'm like, and I blocked the text and I went into my blocked text, which is stupid, I know. And I just kind of went, how am I supposed to respond to that? Am I, you want me to keep caring about the little things in your life, but you can't care about me or think about me enough not to dance with me, not to sit next to me at lunch. You're still choosing and gravitating towards me and wanting me there, but not wanting me and not caring how that makes me feel. So I've been going back and forth with that, and that's been part of my gloominess, is because I felt his vibe several times, but the last few days I really haven't. And I've checked the blog text messages, and there hasn't been any since that day. And but coming up, there's going to be another dance, and I don't know if he'll be there or not. I don't know if he'll has found somebody that's his type that he's going to bring with him and really be into or whatever. And I really wish him the best, and I hope he finds what he's looking for. But I also told him, I think you're really going to regret how you treated me and how you kind of led me on. And it was kind of like a lie the whole time. And um, yeah, I think he's going to regret it. But I really hope he finds what he's looking for, and I really hope I find what I'm looking for, which isn't going to be him. But I'm still a little bit upset with that, and I I wish he would have texted me, "How are you? I miss you, and can we start over somehow as friends?" And I think I might be able to do it, but there'd be a lot of boundaries and a lot of stuff I would put up so I don't connect with him. So it's a level playing field. And I'm not giving any more than what I want to give. And I'm not giving any more than what I'm getting. And I think that's really important because I tend to overgive. So that was that one. So, and I told him, you're the past. Like in our phone conversation before we saw each other at dancing, and in my phone conversation, I said, you're the past now. And I need to cut ties with you and cut this connection that we created in order to move forward with other relationships or just to move forward with my life and what I want in my life and what I'm looking for in my life, which I thought could have been you, but my brain was going, he just said this, and that is counterintuitive. But you have this energy, and my heart, my soul connected, and then my heart connected, and my brain's going, warning, warning. And I go into things without my brain sometimes. I shouldn't do that. I should listen to my brain. So, so he's the past. And so at that moment, actually, after the phone call, I'm on the dating app, and there's people that are liking me, and I'm talking to them and trying to figure out what's there. And people come on really strong. And then I say, hey, let's talk on the phone. Okay, one guy I talked on the phone with, and you don't play with your dog's squeaky toy all the way through a conversation with somebody that you're trying to connect to on a first phone call conversation. You know, go the whole time. That's a tip for you. And yeah, so and And some of the guys I was talking to, it was fine, and sometimes it wasn't, and some of them, like, they came on and it sounded like it was gonna be a good thing, and then they just disappeared, like the ghosted thing or whatever, and they just stopped talking, and then, now I have 3 guys. They're all way younger than me. One of them's way too young, the one that's really talking. I just got to the point where I'm like, "Okay, we need to talk on the phone." I'm not like, we we're talking and we're talking and we're talking. I'm like, "Hey, why don't we talk on the phone?" You know? And I give them my phone number and I say, "Call me." One guy wanted to meet me, 5 days ago. And I said, "Let's talk on the phone so we can coordinate and make sure, like, we both, like, you live a little bit further away, and so why don't we call and talk? And before one of us drives a long way to meet up, why don't we talk on the phone and make sure that there's some vibes going on or something, or that we agree where we're going to meet, and then we can touch base when we get close and stuff like that." So I gave these 2 guys the phone number. One of them hasn't called, but he switched over to a different communication app. So we're talking there, but I still need a phone call, and that's gonna be the next step. Um, the other 2 have not called. One of them said, "Call me," and I'm like, "You didn't give me your number, and you said you had mine." So I haven't received a phone call, and it's been like days. And so that was very disappointing too, and I was very disappointed yesterday because Thursday, a lot of stuff was supposed to, or whatever the day was, there was a lot of stuff was supposed to happen that day, and nothing happened. And then yesterday, it was just gray outside, and it was just like not a good day. It's been some good days now, but what did I write down over here? I gotta say that. Yeah, I went swimming. This is part of my swimsuit. And I said, "What was that? Were we dating? Was something beginning to build there? Was it just friendship?" Well, I found out that it was none of the above. And it's like I said, possible romance or friendship? No, not either. Um, Two different worlds. What am I looking for? And then Alan Watts, the whole thing that I listened to for Alan Watts that made me cry. He said, "Stop looking for love. I'm looking for a soulmate. I'm looking for that deep connection, that deep soulmate connection," which I've never had, which is making me really, really sad because it's the one thing I've wanted since I was a child all my life. But, and I've never had it, and I'm still searching for it. But Alan Watts said, "Stop looking for love. Don't look for love. Um, you're already loved. And if you believe in a creator that you were made from love, and somebody loved you enough to create you and keep you alive until this point, so that you have all the love and you are loved and you have the love. Now you just have to decide who you want to give it to. And it's your energy, it's your power, it's your love. And if somebody messes around with you and they're not real with you, and they're not true with you, and they're not 100% honest with you, and it's kind of like they're playing with you, because they're taking something from you, but they don't want to give anything back, and you're maybe a substitute until they find what they're really looking for, then that's not fair, and you don't have to give them anymore. You can cut it off. Um, my, what am I looking for? Well, I'm not supposed to be looking for love. I was looking for the soul connection, that deep connection. If I connect to somebody on a deeper level, it's like, that's it. That's it. But I think I'm going to use my brain some more because even if I connect with somebody on a deeper level, I think their worldview, their ideas can't be offensive. Um, do you want to know what some of the things were? He thought Me Too was crap, and it made it hard for men to date women because every woman accused a guy of doing something that he didn't do. That's bullshit. It's very much bullshit. And then, so he called it the Me Too crap, really made it hard to date. And I'm like, if you're not one of those people that did that, then, you know, maybe you don't understand how many guys force themselves on women and treat them like property. It's happened to me. So I'm a Me Too. And so saying Me Too is crap is kind of a shitty thing to say when you don't know who you're talking to. And then and you don't know the person well. That's a crappy thing to say. And then the other thing is that there is no male privilege. It's the women that have the privilege because they control everything in a relationship. And I'm like, you must have been dating a lot of scheming women then. A lot of scheming women. But just because a woman doesn't do what you want them to do doesn't make them have the power. I wish it did. Because a lot of guys just ignore women who say no and do whatever they want to do anyway and get away with it. So just if you honor when a woman says no, then you can look at it as female privilege that they are controlling the situation. Unfortunately, most men don't. Women are not in control of the situation, and there is not women privilege. So, and like in the situation that I was in, obviously I'm not a scheming woman and I was not controlling the relationship. He was. And it made me feel very used and lied to. And that's why we can't be friends, is because not because he doesn't want to be with me or he doesn't want me or I'm not his type and so he doesn't want to have a romantic relationship with me. He just wants to be friends. I mean, he was in control of all of that. I wasn't. That's not female privilege. Um, but what was my point? Yeah. Um, that's not what hurt me. That was not the part that hurt me because I thought we were becoming friends. I thought he was a safe space. I thought there was some trust there. And because he sent me mixed signals and was all over the place with me, um, uh, I felt like I was used and lied to. And so the trust is broken. And if the trust is broken, why would I be friends with you? You have to earn that trust back. And you're not even sorry. You don't even understand that I said, don't dance with me, and you danced with me. And I didn't make a scene about it because there were a lot of people around. And I was kind about it. And I danced one dance with you, and then I got away as fast as I could. But that was not honoring me, and that was not female privilege. That was male privilege when you pulled that. When you came over and commanded that we were friends. And I said, why would you say that? I get to decide who I give my energy to. So it just was it's funny to connect to somebody on a deeper level and know that there's something really good about them and something really good there. And then see on the surface level that they're just a shithead and a narcissistic shithead, and I'm having, well, at least it was quicker than my ex-husband. It took me, you know, 10 years to figure it out, and I still stayed another 10 years thinking that I could do something and then realizing it was over and then trying to get out. But this time I realized it pretty quickly, but I still tried. So that's some of the, at least I met somebody in person, kind of connected, looked like it was going to be romantic. They said it wasn't, and very confusing. And now I'm talking to some other people, but they're not really there. They're not really there. There's one person that's there, but he's in Canada. He's 26. Really sweet, makes me feel good about myself. And then there's somebody who came back, and we still haven't met in person, and he hasn't called me. There's somebody that I talked to before and I gave up on because they were going to call me and they didn't. So here we are again at the same place. And then there's another person that says they're going to call me and they don't. So I'm like, here I am. Here I am. I'm putting myself out there. I am honest and I'm trying and hoping. And every instance is like, and I think the hard part too sometimes is that I met somebody in person, I had hope, and now that's gone again. And every time I hope on somebody, the more I'm like, I really need to stop believing that anything, believing in somebody else, that they're going to be who they represent, who they say they are. And it's hard to keep hoping and believing in somebody else, especially when they don't end up being that person in the end. So, and I just feel like I'm wasting my time and I don't have a lot of time because I'm old and, all of that stuff. But if it happens, it happens. And I guess I just keep putting myself out there, but also use my brain to, to go, yeah, if this guy's like talking, like, it's like he was trying to educate me on things that I already knew. And the way he was trying to educate me was full of holes, and I knew what those holes were and what he was missing informationally. So that's dating now. And I'm not really dating. So the guys online have asked me out. They haven't called and set a date. It's like there's like always, so when I meet somebody in person and I'm like, we're connecting, and then they're like, well, yeah, we're connecting, but not really. And then on the dating app, it's like, oh, you're so beautiful. You're this, you're that. Oh, let's meet up. Let's do something together. Okay, here's my number. Let's coordinate. Let's talk. Yeah, it's just there's like this disconnect. There's this disconnect. And I think I'm just going to keep singing and dancing and talking and writing and telling you all about this silly stuff. And tell me about yours. Make me feel better. I'm not alone in this dating disconnect. Ciao, Bellas.